Letters from Calpurnia, Pliny's wife, A.D. 111 to 113, by Judith Harrington. For Arjuna, the most unknown victim of the 9/11 World Trade Center terrorist attacks. Author's note: although I have never met anyone named Arjuna, I have come to believe she may be traced to the roles of those lost in the Twin Towers. My search for this enigmatic writer continues. Introduction. Quote, during your Fulbright year, 1993-94, in Turkey, I discovered these letters while working in the library of the Christian shrine, Mariam Ana Evi, located in the mountains above the ruins of Ephesus. Written in Latin and Greek on vellum and papyrus, they were apparently composed by a Roman matron named Calpurnia to her husband Gaius Plinius, whom she also addresses as Caecilius and Lucius. According to tradition, the shrine of Mariam Ana Evi is the ancient heart of the Johannine community, whose members composed the Gospel of St. John. It is recognized by Roman Catholics as the location of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary into heaven. I found the manuscript among a jumble of archaeological documents, votives left by cured pilgrims, and religious relics donated for decades by Christian and Muslim visitors from all over the world. I traced the manuscript to an ancient papyrus dump discovered by Grenfell and Hunt in the 1890s near Beneshe at Oxyrhynchus, Egypt, 300 kilometers south of Alexandria. During the last decade, I have been trying to authenticate my discovery. My attempts were complicated, tragic circumstances of the 1999 earthquake in northwestern Turkey that resulted in the disappearance of the original manuscript. To protect it, I am sending you my translation under the title Letters from Calpurnia, Pliny's wife. This collection, with the letters organized into 8 books and an epilogue, is as sequential as I have been able to determine. Apparently, Calpurnia wrote most of the letters I include here to her husband, Pliny the Younger, from Ephesus between A.D. 111 and 113, while he was Emperor Trajan's legatus in Bithynia, a Roman province in what is now northwestern Turkey. It was from there that Pliny wrote his famous letter to Trajan about the behavior and fate of local Christians. Having studied the letters of Calpurnia side by side with her husband's published letters, I now read Pliny's epistle to Trajan as a frantic plea couched in legitimate Roman terms for the safety of innocent members of the new Christian cult, which included his wife. In her letters, Calpurnia tells Gaius about her fascination with this new religious cult, whose God she feels holds the best hope of curing the infertility she has suffered since a miscarriage during the first year of their marriage. It appears that Gaius, in an effort to distract Calpurnia from this risky mission and to keep her mind occupied, asks his wife to send him mundane information like recipes and remedies, which I would caution against trying, notations and lyrics for the music she composes on the kithara, and her opinions about Roman religion and politics. Gaius also arranges to send her manuscripts from the extensive library of his uncle Pliny the Elder, together with those he discovers in a network of libraries during his travels through the eastern provinces of the Roman Empire, telling her to translate parts of them from the original either into Latin or Greek. Calpurnia obediently sends Gaius her translated summaries of bits and pieces of works as diverse as Asclepius's Treatise on Dreams and Soranus's Gynecology. She explains her midwife experience with Soranus, whom she has met at Ephesus, and describes the snake treatment she takes for her infertility at the Asclepion Center of Healing at Bergamum. Included in her letters are prescriptions for anthrax, malaria, and other diseases. She also expresses anxiety about the behavior of her young artist protege, the genius Stephanos, whose artist ancestor Stephanus is mentioned in Book 36 of Pliny the Elder's Natural History, and worries what to do with the shroud of the Johannines' crucified Messiah, which they have given her for safekeeping. Throughout the manuscript, Calpurnia reads and writes her way into the practical annals and arcane labyrinths of her age. Despite her husband's efforts to distract her, regardless of his veiled requests for caution, Calpurnia's lively intellect, unflagging curiosity, and naivete lead her deep into danger on the cusp of a new age. To the puzzlement of historians, Pliny the Younger and his wife disappear from history after Pliny's last extant letter to Trajan, written in AD 113, requesting safe passage for Calpurnia to Rome to attend her grandfather's funeral. Calpurnia's manuscript, if authentic, solves a significant riddle of history. It explains what happened to one of Imperial Rome's kindest and most influential men. Its contents provide evidence of an astonishing fact. Early Christians counted Pliny and his wife as their own. The curious placement of statues of Pliny the Younger and Pliny the Elder on the facade of a medieval cathedral in Como, Italy, city of the Pliny heritage, also suggests there is more to the story than can be found in scholarly research so far about two important men of antiquity. I believe Calpurnia tells the missing part of the story. Intriguingly, Calpurnia uncovers a plan she believes was devised by Titus Flavius, Pliny the Elder, and Flavius Josephus, including, among others, the Roman Stoics, especially women, to support the Christian Messiah cult as a pacifist alternative for Jews prior to and following the destruction of the Jewish temple in 70 CE. Ultimately, her letters document the escape of Pliny and his wife from the life-threatening scrutiny of Rome into an underground haven of Christian sympathizers associated with libraries throughout the empire. Nothing remains in the historical record about Calpurnia except what is extant in 3 letters about her and 3 letters to her, written by her famous husband, Gaius Plinius Lucius Filius Caecilius Secundus. These may be found in books 4, 6, 8, and 10 of the Plinius Epistolaris. In 2 of his letters to Calpurnia, Pliny mentions their early correspondence, first in Book 6, 4. You can soothe my worry only by writing to me day and night, although I am tormented by apprehensions between letters. And again in Book 6, 7. You have written, my only comfort when you are not with me is to keep your books near at hand. I confess I sleep with your letters in your place next to me. I, too, read your letters over and over, as though seeing you with each reading, which only rekindles my desire. Send me as many letters as you can, though your writing is painful in its delight. Please publish Calpurnia's letters. Arjuna, New York City, August 15th, 2001. Close quote. Author's note. Non-traditional grammar and variant spelling have been left as presented in this work in progress translation. Book 1. 1. Calpurnia Plinius to Gaius Plinius Secundus. As I write to you from this house in Ephesus, I am looking at the charming fresco newly painted for me by Stephanos. This Eros looks at me from more than the wall. I know you are a practical man and silently consider my visions hysterical, at best, but you also know when to listen with the love and respect your life has always modeled toward women. I think of the story your family has recounted more than once in my presence, and now I have read it again in your letter to Cornelius Tacitus, though you are too modest to acknowledge more than its bare details and veracity. You were 17 when Vesuvius erupted. You saved your mother's life, risking your own by showing the way from Misenum through the forests of the coast to safety, through settling hot ash, floating downward like dark snow. Your family's story continues. How your mother would go no farther, exhausted with fear and exertion, telling you to go on without her and at least save yourself. How you carried her among dazed refugees, escaping Vulcan's fury. Plinia Metella was never the same after that trek through living fire. Plinia's face, replicated on our wall at home from the original mosaic now lost in Herculaneum, bespeaks her beauty. I have always wondered why you returned to Misenum instead of going as far away as you can get. I can imagine you all there, huddled in the dark that was darker than dark, with red edges. I was born during the cataclysm, but it seems I remember the melting of stones, huge boulders flowing, not merely rolling, as cliffs gave way to the wash of gold-black lava. Many believed again in the gods those days. Such courage runs in your family. No one alive will forget how your uncle, the elder Pliny, died in the firestorm on the sea, attempting to reach the family of my own mother, whom I imagine as though through a veil of ruby-studded smoke. His people saved her and a few others, though he perished. I know so little about my mother, except that I lived through her dying. You know these things, have written the required texts. Why do I repeat them, except to see my own words taking shape as a living memory, and to tell I remember more than I can possibly know? Have we discussed the personal content of what the public knows from reading your published letters? This distance from Rome, here in Ephesus, in the province of Bithynia, transforms recollections into places of wonder. Somewhere on the other side of the river Styx and back again, transported by dolphins. Yes, I realize how much you, as a priestly augur, must know of these unknown ways of knowing. Have we discussed the personal letters of what the public knows from reading your published letters? This distance from Rome, here in Ephesus, in the province of Bithynia, transforms recollections into places of wonder. Somewhere on the other side of the river Styx and back again, transported by dolphins. Yes, I realize how much you, as a priestly augur, must know of these unknown ways of knowing. Stop that, you would say. Those pebble thoughts thrown into the river make rings to ripple never-endingly. Ah, yes, but I do not know how to stop it. I do think you adopted me as much as married me.